Digital forensics is the application of scientific methods to the identification, collection, preservation, analysis, and presentation of digital evidence. It is the art and science of uncovering electronic breadcrumbs left behind in our increasingly connected world. Unlike traditional forensics that deals with physical evidence, digital forensics navigates a complex landscape of electronic data, extracting meaningful information from devices, networks, and cloud environments. At its core, digital forensics serves as the bridge between technical investigation and legal proceedings. It transforms seemingly insignificant digital artifacts, a deleted file, a network log entry, or metadata embedded in a document, into powerful evidence that can reveal the truth behind digital incidents. Digital forensics practitioners are modern-day detectives who follow electronic trails with precision and integrity, reconstructing digital timelines to answer critical questions. What happened? When did it occur? Who was responsible? How was it accomplished? The discipline has evolved tremendously since its inception in the 1980s. What began as basic file recovery has matured into a sophisticated field encompassing specialized techniques for extracting evidence from smartphones, cloud services, Internet of Things, IoT devices, and even memory forensics that captures volatile data that would otherwise be lost when a system powers down. Core principles of digital forensics. Digital forensics is guided by several foundational principles that ensure the credibility and reliability of evidence. The preservation principle. The cornerstone of digital forensics is the preservation of evidence in its original state. Every interaction with digital evidence risks altering it in some way. Forensic experts employ write blockers and specialized tools to create bit-by-bit copies, forensic images, of storage media without modifying the source. This principle ensures that the original evidence remains untainted, preserving its integrity for legal proceedings. The chain of custody. Every piece of digital evidence must be meticulously tracked from collection to presentation. This unbroken documentation, recording who handled the evidence, when, where, and for what purpose, ensures that evidence remains credible and admissible in court. A single break in this chain can undermine an entire investigation, regardless of how compelling the findings might be. The reproducibility standard. Scientific validity in digital forensics demands that results be reproducible. Different examiners using the same method should arrive at the same conclusions when analyzing identical evidence. This principle elevates digital forensics from subjective interpretation to objective science, bolstering the reliability of findings. The minimization approach. Digital forensic practitioners follow the principle of minimal alteration. When interaction with original evidence is unavoidable, changes must be minimized, documented, and justified. This approach recognizes that perfect preservation may sometimes be impossible, but strives to maintain evidence integrity to the greatest extent possible. The documentation imperative. Every step in the forensic process must be thoroughly documented. From initial response to final analysis, detailed records create transparency and accountability. This documentation becomes crucial when explaining complex technical findings to non-technical audiences, including judges and juries. Fields of application of digital forensics. Digital forensics extends far beyond criminal investigations, touching nearly every sector of our digital society. Corporate investigations. Organizations leverage digital forensics to investigate internal incidents, from data breaches and intellectual property theft to employee misconduct. Forensic analysis can reveal unauthorized access to sensitive systems, track the exfiltration of proprietary information, or document policy violations. In corporate environments, digital forensics often works alongside human resources and legal departments to address internal threats while ensuring compliance with privacy regulations and employment laws. Criminal investigations. Law enforcement agencies worldwide depend on digital forensics to solve cases ranging from fraud and cyberstalking to terrorism and homicide. Modern crimes frequently have digital components. Even traditional crimes like robbery or murder may involve digital evidence from security cameras, cell phone locations, or social media communications. Specialized units within law enforcement agencies employ forensic tools to recover deleted messages, extract location data, and analyze digital communications that can link suspects to crimes. Government agencies employ advanced digital forensics techniques to counter threats to national security. This includes tracking terrorist communications, investigating state-sponsored cyber attacks, and identifying foreign intelligence operations. These high-stakes applications often push the boundaries of forensic capabilities, driving innovation throughout the field. Digital evidence has become increasingly crucial in civil cases, including intellectual property disputes, contract breaches, and personal injury claims. Forensic experts may analyze email communications, document metadata, or electronic signatures to establish timelines, verify authenticity, or identify tampering. In family law, digital forensics can uncover hidden assets or communications relevant to custody disputes. When organizations experience security breaches, digital forensics becomes an essential component of the response. Forensic analysis identifies how attackers gained access, what systems were compromised, what data was accessed or exfiltrated, and whether backdoors remain. These insights not only guide remediation efforts, but also help strengthen defenses against future attacks. Digital forensics plays a crucial role in uncovering financial crimes and fraudulent activities. Forensic accountants and digital investigators collaborate to follow money trails through electronic banking records, cryptocurrency transactions, and financial software. Advanced techniques can recover deleted financial records, identify accounting irregularities, and trace fraudulent transactions across multiple systems and jurisdictions. Many industries operate under strict regulatory frameworks that mandate specific data protection, privacy practices, and security measures. Digital forensics helps organizations demonstrate compliance during audits by verifying that security controls function as intended and that sensitive data is properly protected. When compliance failures occur, forensic investigation can determine the extent of the issue and guide remediation efforts. The ubiquity of smartphones has created an entirely specialized branch of digital forensics. Mobile forensics addresses the unique challenges of extracting evidence from smartphones and tablets, including recovering deleted messages, photos, location data, and application usage. This subspecialty continues to evolve rapidly as mobile operating systems implement stronger encryption and privacy protections. As organizations migrate to cloud environments, traditional forensic approaches must adapt. Cloud forensics addresses the challenges of investigating incidents in environments where data may be distributed across multiple servers in different geographic locations. This emerging field develops methodologies for preserving and analyzing evidence in infrastructure as a service, IaaS, platform as a service, PaaS, and software as a service, SaaS, environments. Some of the most valuable evidence exists only in a system's memory and disappears when power is removed. Memory forensics captures and analyzes this volatile data, providing insights into running processes, network connections, and malware that might leave no traces on disk. This specialization has become particularly important for investigating sophisticated attacks that operate primarily in memory to evade traditional detection. Digital forensics continues to evolve alongside technology, constantly developing new methodologies to address emerging challenges. From investigating cryptocurrency transactions to extracting evidence from IoT devices and smart home systems, the field expands its reach as our digital footprint grows. For organizations and individuals navigating today's complex digital landscape, understanding the capabilities and applications of digital forensics becomes increasingly essential, not just for responding to incidents, but for proactively protecting digital assets and maintaining trust in our interconnected world. In the realm of cybersecurity, incidents are inevitable. Networks are breached, data is compromised, and systems are infiltrated despite our best preventive efforts. When these events occur, a structured, methodical response becomes essential, not only to mitigate damage, but to understand what happened and prevent future occurrences. This is where incident response and digital forensic investigation shine, transforming chaotic security events into opportunities for insight and resilience. The digital forensics lifecycle provides a structured framework that guides investigators from the initial discovery of an incident through to its resolution and the lessons learned. This systematic approach ensures thoroughness, maintains evidence integrity, and produces defensible findings. While various models exist, the core phases remain consistent across the discipline. 1. Preparation. Long before an incident occurs, groundwork must be laid for effective response. Preparation encompasses developing incident response plans, establishing policies, assembling necessary tools, and training personnel. Organizations that excel at incident response invest in forensic workstations, write blockers, specialized software, and secure storage for evidence. They create documentation templates, establish communication protocols, and conduct tabletop exercises to simulate incidents. The most resilient organizations view preparation as an ongoing process rather than a one-time effort. They regularly update their incident response capabilities to address emerging threats and technologies, recognizing that today's adequate preparation may be insufficient for tomorrow's challenges. 2. Identification and assessment. The life cycle begins in earnest when an incident is detected or suspected. This critical phase involves identifying unusual activities through system alerts, log analysis, or user reports, then conducting preliminary analysis to determine whether a genuine security incident has occurred. Skilled investigators during this phase ask pivotal questions. What systems appear to be affected? What is the potential impact? Is the incident ongoing? What is the preliminary scope? This initial assessment shapes the entire response, determining resources allocated, stakeholders notified, and immediate containment actions taken. False positives must be carefully distinguished from actual incidents, as unnecessary escalation wastes resources, while missed incidents can lead to catastrophic damage. This balance requires both technical acumen and seasoned judgment from responders. 3. Containment. Once an incident is confirmed, immediate action must be taken to limit its spread and impact. Containment strategies vary based on the nature of the incident, from isolating compromised systems from a network to suspending affected user accounts or implementing emergency access controls. The containment phase represents a delicate balance between stopping further damage and preserving evidence. Hasty actions might eliminate crucial forensic artifacts, while delayed containment could allow attackers to entrench deeper or exfiltrate more data. Strategic containment decisions should consider business continuity needs alongside forensic priorities. Sophisticated containment approaches often include creating honey nets that appear to give attackers valuable targets while actually isolating them in monitored environments, allowing investigators to observe tactics while preventing actual damage. 4. Evidence collection. With the incident contained, investigators begin the methodical collection of evidence. This phase demands meticulous adherence to forensic principles to ensure that gathered evidence maintains its integrity and admissibility. Evidence collection typically follows a volatility order, beginning with the most ephemeral data before moving to more persistent storage. System memory captures, a network connections and running processes, temporary file systems, disk images, backup media and archive data, physical configurations and documentation. Throughout collection, chain of custody documentation tracks who handled evidence, when, and for what purpose. Forensic hashing creates digital fingerprints that can later verify evidence hasn't been altered. Collection tools and techniques must be forensically sound, avoiding any changes to original evidence. In distributed environments like cloud systems, evidence collection becomes particularly challenging, requiring coordination with service providers and specialized tools designed for virtualized infrastructure. 5. Analysis. The analysis phase transforms raw evidence into meaningful insights about the incident. Investigators employ a variety of technical approaches to reconstruct the narrative of what occurred. Timeline analysis correlates events across multiple sources to establish sequence. File system analysis examines creation, modification, and access times. Memory analysis identifies malicious processes and hidden artifacts. Network forensics reconstructs communication patterns. Malware analysis reverse engineers malicious code to understand its capabilities. Log analysis extracts relevant events from system, application, and security logs. Effective analysis requires both technical depth and investigative intuition. Analysts must follow evidence trails while remaining open to unexpected findings, constantly testing hypotheses against the evidence. The goal is to answer fundamental questions. How did the attackers gain access? What actions did they take? What data was compromised? And do they retain access points into the Inverse 6? Documentation and reporting. The findings from forensic analysis must be translated into clear, comprehensive documentation that serves multiple audiences. Technical details need to be preserved for validation and potential legal proceedings, while executive summaries must communicate impact and recommendations to decision-makers. Effective forensic reporting presents findings in a logical, coherent narrative, distinguishes between facts, interpretations, and opinions, documents methodologies and tools used, establishes evidential links between artifacts and conclusions, avoids technical jargon when communicating with non-technical stakeholders, includes relevant timestamps, system information, and supporting exhibits. In cases with legal implications, reports must be prepared with the understanding that they may face challenging scrutiny in court proceedings. Every conclusion should be traceable back to the evidence from which it was derived. 7. Recovery. With a thorough understanding of the incident, organizations can confidently begin restoring affected systems and operations. The recovery phase involves cleaning or rebuilding compromised systems, restoring data from known good backups, implementing additional security controls, and carefully returning to normal operations. Recovery plans should be staged and prioritized, beginning with the most critical systems and incorporating enhanced monitoring to detect any signs of persistent threats. This phased approach prevents rush restoration that might reintroduce vulnerabilities or miss hidden backdoors left by attackers. 8. Lessons learned. The final phase of the forensic life cycle transforms incidents from costly disruptions into valuable organizational learning. Post-incident, reviews examine both the security failure that allowed the incident and the effectiveness of the response itself. These reviews should be blameless, focusing on systemic improvements rather than individual errors. Key questions include: how could this incident have been prevented? How quickly was it detected? Was the response timely and effective? What additional tools or training would improve future responses? Insights gained should drive concrete changes to security architecture, monitoring capabilities, patching procedures, access controls, and response playbooks. The most mature organizations establish feedback loops that continuously strengthen their security posture based on incident learnings. Team roles in a digital investigation. Digital forensic investigations require diverse expertise working in coordinated fashion. Each role brings unique skills and perspectives to the investigation process. Incident responder. On the front lines of cybersecurity crises, incident responders provide the immediate tactical response when security events occur. These digital first responders possess a blend of technical breadth and calm under pressure that allows them to quickly assess situations, implement containment measures, and gather preliminary evidence. Effective incident responders combine deep technical knowledge with strong communication skills, often serving as a bridge between technical teams and management during critical incidents. They must make quick decisions with limited information, balancing the need to stop attacks with the requirement to preserve evidence. The best incident responders develop an almost intuitive sense for distinguishing between normal system anomalies and genuine security incidents, honed through experience with countless alerts and events. This discernment prevents both dangerous false negatives and resource-draining false positives. Forensic analyst. Forensic analysts are the meticulous investigators who extract and interpret digital evidence. With specialized training in forensic methodologies and tools, they conduct detailed examinations of systems, storage media, and network traffic to reconstruct digital events. These digital detectives require extraordinary attention to detail, combined with the patience to sift through enormous volumes of data seeking subtle indicators of compromise. They excel at pattern recognition, connecting disparate technical artifacts into coherent narratives of attacker activities. Forensic analysts maintain rigorous documentation of their processes and findings, ensuring their work products can withstand scrutiny in legal proceedings. They continuously deepen their technical specializations while staying current with evolving attack techniques and emerging technologies. Malware analyst. When malicious code is suspected in an incident, malware analysts apply their specialized expertise to understand its capabilities and behavior. These technical specialists combine reverse engineering skills with knowledge of operating system internals to dissect how malware functions. Malware analysis typically involves both static analysis, examining the code without execution, and dynamic analysis in isolated environments where the malware can be safely executed and observed. These analyses reveal the malware's functionality, command and control mechanisms, persistence techniques, and potential data targets. Beyond technical skills, successful malware analysts possess intellectual curiosity and persistence that drives them to fully understand sophisticated code designed specifically to resist analysis. Their findings often provide crucial information about attack attribution, linking incidents to known threat actors or campaigns. Digital forensic investigator. Digital forensic investigators bring a broader investigative perspective to incidents, often with backgrounds in law enforcement or legal proceedings. They understand how digital evidence connects to larger case contexts, including potential legal ramifications. These investigators excel at interviewing witnesses, documenting crime scenes, establishing timelines, and connecting technical findings to human activities and motivations. They ensure that evidence collection and analysis meet legal standards for potential criminal proceedings or civil litigation. In complex cases, digital forensic investigators serve as case managers, coordinating the activities of various technical specialists and ensuring that all investigative threads are followed. They frequently interface with legal counsel, law enforcement, and executive leadership throughout investigations. CyberSecurity architect. While not always considered part of the core incident response team, cybersecurity architects play a vital role in the aftermath of incidents. These strategic thinkers translate investigative findings into improved security architectures and controls. Security architects analyze incident reports to identify architectural weaknesses that contributed to breaches. They design remediation plans that address not just a specific vulnerability exploited, but broader classes of similar weaknesses throughout the environment. The most valuable security architects balance defensive thoroughness with business practicality, designing security improvements that provide meaningful protection without unnecessary operational friction. Their work transforms reactive incident response into proactive security enhancement. Legal counsel. Digital investigations increasingly have significant legal implications, making legal counsel an essential component of response teams. Attorneys with cybersecurity expertise guide investigations to ensure they meet evidentiary standards and comply with relevant regulations. Legal counsel advises on notification requirements following data breaches, preservation of evidence for potential litigation, and privacy considerations when examining user data. They help frame investigative findings in ways that support potential legal action against attackers or defense against regulatory penalties. The most effective legal advisors in this space develop sufficient technical understanding to bridge the gap between complex technical findings and legal frameworks, translating between these different domains of expertise. Executive sponsor. High-impact security incidents require executive visibility and support. Executive sponsors provide the organizational authority, resource allocation, and decision-making needed for effective response to serious incidents. These leaders make critical decisions about external communications, customer notifications, engagement with law enforcement, and business continuity measures during incidents. They balance technical recommendations against business priorities and reputational concerns. The most effective executive sponsors establish a culture that values security, supports thorough investigation, and implements meaningful improvements following incidents. They understand that their response to security failures significantly influences the organization's security culture and future resilience. In the ever-evolving landscape of digital threats, the ability to respond effectively to incidents and conduct thorough investigations has become a core competency for modern organizations. The structured approach of the digital forensics lifecycle, combined with diverse team expertise, transforms chaotic security events into opportunities for insight and improvement. Beyond merely resolving individual incidents, mature incident response capabilities provide organizations with a deeper understanding of their threat landscape and security posture. Each investigated incident reveals not just what happened in a specific case, but illuminates patterns of attack techniques, internal vulnerabilities, and opportunities for defensive enhancement. As our digital dependencies deepen and attack sophistication increases, the value of these capabilities will only grow. Organizations that invest in developing robust incident response and digital forensic capabilities don't just recover more quickly from security events. They emerge stronger, more resilient, and better prepared for the evolving challenges of our interconnected world. Readiness. In the realm of digital forensics, evidence collection represents the critical bridge between incident detection and meaningful analysis. The artifacts gathered during this phase form the foundation upon which investigations stand or fall. Yet digital evidence presents unique challenges. It is inherently fragile, easily altered, and often ephemeral. A single misstep during collection can render crucial evidence inadmissible or, worse, destroyed entirely. This reality makes evidence collection not merely a technical process, but one that demands meticulous attention to legal and procedural requirements. Organizations that excel in digital forensics understand that true readiness begins long before incidents occur. They develop comprehensive evidence collection strategies that anticipate legal scrutiny, establish clear procedures that maintain evidential integrity, and train their teams to operate at the intersection of technical expertise and legal compliance. In doing so, they transform potential digital chaos into compelling, court-admissible narratives that can withstand the most rigorous challenges. Types of digital evidence. Digital evidence encompasses an extraordinarily diverse landscape of electronic artifacts, each with unique characteristics, extraction challenges, and evidentiary value. Understanding this variety is essential for forensic practitioners who must determine what to collect and how to preserve it effectively. Persistent storage data. Traditional storage media, hard drives, solid-state drives, USB devices, and optical media, contain some of the most information-rich evidence in digital investigations. These devices store file systems that may contain documents, images, databases, and application data relevant to investigations. Even when files are deleted, their remnants often persist in unallocated space or volume slack, waiting to be recovered through specialized forensic techniques. What makes persistent storage particularly valuable is its ability to retain evidence even when systems are powered down. However, this evidence isn't always straightforward to interpret. File timestamps can be misleading, particularly across time zones or due to system clock manipulations. Determining who created or accessed files requires correlation with other evidence sources, such as access logs and user account activity. Modern encryption presents additional challenges for storage forensics. Full disk encryption can render storage media completely inaccessible without proper authentication. This reality makes live acquisition, capturing data while systems remain running and decrypted, increasingly important in modern investigations. Volatile memory. System memory, RAM, contains a wealth of information not available elsewhere, running processes, network connections, encryption keys, and malware that may never touch the disk. As systems grow in memory capacity, RAM has become an increasingly rich source of evidence, particularly for advanced threats designed to operate without leaving traces on persistent storage. The fundamental challenge with memory evidence is its volatility. When a system loses power, memory contents are lost. This characteristic necessitates special collection procedures during live response. Memory must be captured before any other actions that might alter the system state, often using specialized tools that minimize their own memory footprint to avoid contaminating evidence. Memory analysis has evolved into a sophisticated subspecialty within digital forensics. Analysts can extract running processes, network connections, loaded modules, and even recover fragments of documents or communications that were never saved to disk. In cases involving encrypted storage, memory may contain encryption keys or decrypted content otherwise inaccessible to investigators. Network data. Network traffic and logs provide crucial evidence about communications between systems, data exfiltration attempts, command and control activities, and lateral movement within environments. This evidence category includes packet captures, net flow records, firewall logs, proxy logs, and VPN connection data. Network evidence helps establish connections between entities, reveal data movement patterns, and identify external actors involved in security incidents. It's particularly valuable in cases where adversaries attempt to cover their tracks on endpoint systems, but must still communicate over monitored networks. The challenges in network evidence collection include the massive volumes of data generated, the frequent use of encryption that obscures content, and the ephemeral nature of many network artifacts. Organizations must implement strategic logging and monitoring to ensure relevant network evidence is captured before it disappears. This often involves deploying network sensors at key choke points, configuring appropriate log retention policies, and implementing packet capture capabilities that can be activated during incidents. Cloud and virtualized infrastructure data. As organizations migrate to cloud environments, evidence collection must adapt to these distributed, ephemeral architectures. Cloud evidence includes virtual machine images, container snapshots, serverless function logs, and cloud provider audit logs that document resource creation, modification, and access. The unique challenges in cloud environments include limited visibility, as providers control the underlying infrastructure, multi-tenancy considerations, potential data sovereignty issues across jurisdictions, and the highly dynamic nature of resources that may be automatically created and destroyed. Effective cloud forensics requires close coordination with service providers, understanding of specific cloud platform logging capabilities, and often the use of API-based collection tools rather than traditional disk imaging approaches. Organizations must establish these capabilities before incidents occur, as cloud evidence can disappear quickly through normal resource provisioning and deprovisioning processes. Application and database logs. Applications and databases generate logs that document user activities, authentication events, transactions, and error conditions. These logs often contain precise records of who did what and when, crucial information for establishing timelines and attributing actions to specific users. The value of application logs varies tremendously based on logging configuration. Properly configured logging can provide a detailed audit trail of system activities, while inadequate logging may leave investigators with critical gaps in their understanding of events. Organizations should implement logging strategies that balance operational needs with forensic readiness, ensuring high-value security events are captured. Collection challenges include identifying all relevant log sources, which may be distributed across multiple systems, dealing with proprietary log formats, and ensuring logs haven't been tampered with by attackers seeking to cover their tracks. In many environments, centralized log management systems play a crucial role in preserving these artifacts against tampering attempts. Mobile device data. Smartphones and tablets contain rich evidence sources, including call logs, messages, location history, app data, photos with embedded metadata, and browsing history. These devices often provide insights into user activities, communications, and movements not available from traditional computer systems. Mobile forensics presents unique challenges due to device variety, operating system differences, encryption, and frequent updates that change evidence locations and formats. Collection approaches range from logical extractions, accessing files to the operating system, to physical acquisitions that bypass operating system controls to recover deleted content. Legal considerations are particularly important with mobile devices, as they may contain highly personal information requiring specific legal authority to access. The mingling of personal and corporate data on mobile devices adds additional complexity to evidence collection and scope limitations. Internet of Things, IoT, and embedded systems. The proliferation of connected devices, from smart speakers and thermostats to industrial control systems and medical devices, has created new evidence sources. These systems may contain logs, configuration data, and usage information relevant to investigations. IoT forensics remains an emerging field with significant challenges, including proprietary hardware designs, limited documentation, absence of standard interfaces, and minimal logging capabilities in many devices. Collection often requires specialized knowledge of specific device architectures and may involve techniques like chip-off forensics to directly access memory components. Despite these challenges, IoT devices can provide crucial timeline information, establish presence or activities in physical locations, and serve as witnesses to events not documented by traditional computing systems. Best practices for evidence handling. The value of digital evidence depends not just on its content, but on how it was collected, preserved, and analyzed. Best practices in evidence handling ensure that findings can withstand legal and technical scrutiny while providing accurate insights into incidents. Maintaining chain of custody. The chain of custody documents the complete history of evidence from collection through analysis and eventual disposition. This documentation allows organizations to prove that evidence hasn't been altered, tampered with, or accessed by unauthorized individuals, essential for establishing its reliability in legal proceedings. Effective chain of custody practices include using standardized evidence forms that record who collected the evidence, when, where, and under what authority. Implementing clear transfer procedures that document each handoff between custodians. Securing evidence in tamper-evident packaging with unique identifiers. Maintaining detailed logs of all access to evidence, including the purpose and duration. Storing evidence in access control facilities with appropriate environmental controls. Chain of custody becomes particularly challenging in digital investigations where multiple analysts may need simultaneous access to evidence. This reality has driven the adoption of collaborative forensic platforms that maintain comprehensive audit logs of all interactions with evidence while enabling team-based analysis. Forensic imaging. Forensic imaging creates bit-by-bit copies of digital media that are identical to the original in content, but can be analyzed without risking changes to the source evidence. These forensic duplicates serve as a foundation for most digital investigations, allowing examiners to conduct comprehensive analysis without fear of altering original evidence. Best practices for forensic imaging include using write blockers or other hardware controls that physically prevent modifications to source media. Calculating cryptographic hashes, MD5, SHA-1, SHA-256, of both source media and forensic duplicates to verify their identical content. Documenting the imaging process, including tools used, settings applied, and any errors encountered. Verifying image integrity through hash comparison before beginning analysis. Creating working copies from verified forensic images for actual analysis, preserving the original image as a reference. Modern forensic imaging faces increasing challenges from growing storage capacities, hardware encryption, and cloud-based storage that can't be physically acquired. These realities have driven the development of targeted collection approaches that focus on relevant data, rather than complete disk images when full acquisition isn't feasible. Live data collection. Many modern investigations require the collection of volatile data from running systems before they can be powered down for traditional forensic imaging. This live response captures evidence that would otherwise be lost, including running processes, network connections, and decrypted content. Effective live collection follows these principles. Prioritizing collection based on data volatility, starting with the most ephemeral evidence. Using trusted, forensically sound tools that minimize system impact and document their own actions. Collecting memory dumps early in the response process before other activities alter system state. Documenting system time and synchronizing timestamps across collected artifacts. Capturing command output, tool results, and collection steps in real-time logs. Preserving network evidence through strategic packet captures at relevant network points. Organizations should develop and test live collection procedures before incidents occur, as improvised approaches during crises often result in lost evidence or unintentional system alterations that compromise findings. Documentation and reporting. Comprehensive documentation transforms raw evidence into compelling findings that can inform technical remediation, management decisions, and potential legal proceedings. Documentation should begin during planning and continue through every phase of evidence collection and analysis. Documentation best practices include creating contemporaneous notes during collection activities, recording observations, methods, and findings, photographing physical evidence, hardware configurations, and screen contents when appropriate, maintaining separate analytical notes that document the investigative process, including paths explored and conclusions reached, preserving all command output, tool results, and raw data in its original form, developing standardized reporting templates that ensure consistent documentation across investigations, creating different report versions appropriate for technical, executive, and legal audiences. The most effective documentation anticipates how findings might be challenged and provides preemptive answers to potential questions about methodology, tool selection, and analytical conclusions. Legal and regulatory compliance. Digital evidence collection must navigate a complex landscape of laws, regulations, and legal precedents that vary across jurisdictions. Organizations that excel in forensic readiness develop evidence collection practices that satisfy the most stringent requirements they might face. Key compliance considerations include understanding relevant regulations such as GDPR, HIPAA, or industry-specific requirements that govern data access and handling. Establishing clear authority for collection through policies, consent banners, or appropriate legal instruments. Respecting privacy boundaries by limiting collection scope to relevant evidence. Documenting legal authority for collection actions, particularly when collecting from personal devices. Consulting with legal counsel before collecting potentially privileged or protected information. Developing processes for international investigations that navigate cross-border data transfer restrictions. Organizations should develop these compliance frameworks in advance, working with legal counsel to establish procedures appropriate for their industry, geography, and risk profile. Attempting to navigate complex legal questions during active incidents often leads to either missed evidence collection opportunities or potential compliance violations. Evidence storage and preservation. Collected evidence must be stored securely while maintaining its integrity for potentially lengthy periods. Digital evidence is particularly vulnerable to degradation, accidental modification, or deliberate tampering if not properly protected. Effective storage practices include creating redundant copies of critical evidence stored in separate locations, implementing access controls that limit evidence handling to authorized personnel, using write-once media or cryptographic controls that prevent modification of stored evidence, maintaining appropriate environmental controls for physical media to prevent degradation, implementing regular integrity verification through hash comparison, establishing retention policies aligned with legal requirements and investigation needs. Cloud-based evidence storage has become increasingly common, offering advantages in scalability and accessibility. However, these solutions must be carefully evaluated for security controls, access logging, and compliance with chain of custody requirements. Preparation and readiness. The most successful evidence collection occurs in environments specifically prepared for forensic readiness. This preparation transforms reactive ad hoc collection into a strategic capability that preserves critical evidence even before incidents are fully understood. Key elements of forensic readiness include implementing strategic logging across systems, applications, and network devices, deploying endpoint detection and response tools with forensic collection capabilities, establishing baseline collection kits with write blockers, storage media, and trusted tools, developing and regularly testing collection procedures for different evidence types, training incident responders on proper evidence handling techniques, creating relationships with external forensic specialists for complex investigations, establishing evidence storage infrastructure with appropriate security controls. Organizations that invest in these readiness measures find themselves able to collect higher quality evidence more efficiently during incidents, ultimately producing more definitive findings that better support both technical remediation and potential legal action. The intersection of digital evidence collection and legal readiness represents one of the most challenging and consequential aspects of modern security operations. As digital systems become more complex, distributed, and ephemeral, the art of preserving their stories through forensically sound evidence collection grows increasingly sophisticated. Organizations that master these disciplines develop a powerful capability that extends far beyond technical investigation. Their ability to establish ground truth about digital events, backed by properly collected, meticulously preserved evidence, enables confident decision-making during crises, supports appropriate accountability for malicious activities, and ultimately contributes to a more secure digital ecosystem. In a world where digital evidence increasingly determines the outcome of everything from internal investigations to criminal prosecutions, Excellence in evidence collection and legal readiness isn't merely a technical nice-to-have. It's a foundational capability that defines organizational resilience in the face of inevitable security incidents. Digital forensics in the era of artificial intelligence. The convergence of digital forensics and artificial intelligence represents one of the most transformative developments in cybersecurity. As our digital footprints expand exponentially and cyber threats grow in sophistication, traditional forensic approaches, reliant primarily on human analysis, struggle to keep pace. Enter artificial intelligence, a powerful ally that is revolutionizing how we collect, analyze, and interpret digital evidence. This technological partnership is redefining what's possible in digital investigations, augmenting human expertise with computational power that can process vast datasets, identify subtle patterns, and accelerate the path from evidence to insight. In this new era, digital forensics practitioners are no longer limited by the bounds of human attention spans or processing capabilities. Instead, they harness AI systems to sift through terabytes of data, spot anomalies that would elude human observers, reconstruct fragmented evidence, and build comprehensive timelines of digital events. This synergy between human expertise and artificial intelligence is transforming digital forensics from a largely reactive discipline into a more proactive, efficient, and comprehensive investigative approach. The volume, variety, and complexity of digital evidence have expanded beyond what human analysts can effectively process using traditional methods. AI transforms this potential limitation into an opportunity, bringing unprecedented analytical capabilities to forensic investigations, pattern recognition, and anomaly detection. AI excels at identifying patterns and anomalies within vast datasets, a capability that proves invaluable in digital forensics. Machine learning algorithms can establish baseline behaviors for users, systems, and networks, then flag deviations that might indicate compromise or malicious activity. These systems can detect subtle anomalies that human analysts might miss, such as unusual login patterns that deviate from a user's established behavior, abnormal file access sequences that suggest unauthorized activity, atypical network traffic patterns indicating data exfiltration, unusual command executions that could signal the presence of malware. While human analysts might require days or weeks to establish these patterns manually, AI systems can continuously learn and adapt their understanding of normal across thousands of parameters simultaneously. This capability transforms the detection of suspicious activities from a hunt for known indicators to a more sophisticated identification of behavioral anomalies. Natural language processing in digital evidence. Communications often constitute critical evidence in investigations, but the sheer volume of emails, messages, documents, and social media content can overwhelm human reviewers. Natural language processing, NLP, a branch of AI focused on human language, enables investigators to extract meaningful insights from these communication datasets. Advanced NLP techniques allow forensic teams to automatically categorize thousands of documents based on content relevance, identify sentiment and emotional patterns in communications, extract entities, relationships, and key concepts from unstructured text, detect potential code words or obfuscated language used to hide illicit activities, analyze linguistic patterns that can assist in attribution or author identification. These capabilities dramatically reduce the time required to process communication evidence, while increasing the likelihood of discovering relevant connections. In complex investigations involving millions of messages or documents, NLP becomes not just an efficiency tool, but an essential capability for comprehensive analysis. Image and video analysis. Visual data presents unique challenges in digital forensics, from identifying individuals in security footage to analyzing potentially illegal imagery or detecting manipulated media. Computer vision, powered by deep learning algorithms, has transformed these formerly labor-intensive tasks. Modern AI-enhanced forensic tools can automatically identify faces, objects, locations, and activities in images and videos, detect manipulated or synthetic media, deepfakes, through analysis of visual inconsistencies, recognize and categorize imagery to identify potential evidence or illicit content, process hours of video footage to isolate relevant segments based on specified criteria, extract and enhance metadata from visual files to establish provenance and timeline information. These capabilities enable forensic teams to process visual evidence that would otherwise require prohibitive amounts of human review time. In cases involving large quantities of images or video, AI-powered visual analysis often identifies critical evidence that would likely remain undiscovered through manual review alone. Behavioral analysis and attribution. Attribution, determining who is responsible for specific digital activities, represents one of the most challenging aspects of digital forensics. AI approaches this challenge by analyzing behavioral patterns across multiple dimensions to develop digital fingerprints that can help identify actors even when traditional identifiers are obscured. Advanced behavioral analysis examines typing patterns in command syntax that can reveal individual habits, code stylometry that identifies programmer-specific patterns in malware or scripts, temporal patterns showing when certain users or attackers tend to be active, tool preferences and technical approaches that may be unique to specific threat actors, language patterns in comments, variable naming, or communications. By correlating these behavioral indicators across multiple incidents or activities, AI systems can connect seemingly disparate events to common actors. This capability proves particularly valuable in complex investigations where sophisticated adversaries attempt to hide their identities through technical means. Data reconstruction. Digital evidence is often fragmented, deleted, or corrupted, whether through routine system operations, deliberate anti-forensic techniques, or physical damage to storage media. AI brings powerful new approaches to reconstructing this damaged or incomplete evidence. Recovery of deleted or corrupted data. Traditional file recovery relies heavily on known file structures and relatively intact file systems. AI extends these capabilities by learning from partial data patterns, enabling more robust recovery of deleted, overwritten, or corrupted information. Machine learning models trained on various file types can reconstruct partially overwritten files by predicting missing content based on remaining fragments, identify file boundaries in raw storage where file system metadata has been lost or damaged, recover data from corrupted storage media by recognizing content patterns despite physical damage, reconstruct database contents from log files or partial records through inferential techniques, recover encryption keys from memory fragments using predictive modeling. These reconstruction capabilities prove especially valuable in cases involving anti-forensic techniques or damaged devices, where traditional recovery methods might yield limited results. By leveraging AI to make informed predictions about missing data, investigators can recover evidence that would otherwise remain inaccessible. Timeline reconstruction and event correlation. Understanding the sequence of events during an incident requires correlating evidence from multiple sources with potentially inconsistent timestamps or incomplete records. AI excels at this complex correlation task, constructing comprehensive timelines even from fragmented evidence. Advanced timeline reconstruction employs automated normalization of timestamps across different time zones and formats, causal inference techniques that establish logical sequences even with missing event data, correlation of events across multiple devices and data sources to build unified timelines, detection of clock manipulation or timestamp tampering through consistency analysis, visualization of complex event sequences to highlight key activities and relationships. This capability transforms fragmented logs and artifacts into coherent narratives of digital activities. Rather than manually assembling timelines, a process prone to gaps and errors, investigators can work with AI-generated event sequences that highlight critical moments and causal relationships. Network traffic analysis and reconstruction. Network evidence provides crucial insights into communications between systems, but encrypted traffic and massive data volumes present significant analytical challenges. AI approaches to network forensics enable deeper understanding through advanced analysis and reconstruction techniques. AI-enhanced network forensics can identify application protocols even in encrypted traffic through behavioral analysis. Reconstruct session contents from partial packet captures using predictive models. Detect covert channels or data exfiltration attempts through pattern analysis. Group related network activities to identify multi-stage attack sequences. Attribute network activities to specific users, or malware through behavioral fingerprinting. These capabilities allow investigators to understand network activities at a more comprehensive level, even when encryption or incomplete captures would traditionally limit visibility. By reconstructing and contextualizing network evidence, AI helps establish crucial links between systems, users, and external entities. Beyond enhancing analytical capabilities, AI dramatically improves the efficiency of digital forensic investigations, reducing time to insight, optimizing resource allocation, and enabling more comprehensive analysis without proportional increases in staffing. Automated triage and prioritization. Not all digital evidence holds equal value for a specific investigation. AI excels at rapidly assessing large volumes of evidence to identify high-value artifacts that deserve immediate attention, while deprioritizing less relevant data. Effective triage systems. Automatically classify artifacts based on investigation-specific relevance models. Identify potential evidence that matches case parameters across multiple data sources. Flag anomalous items that deviate from baseline patterns and warrant closer examination. Prioritize analysis cues to focus human attention on the most promising evidence first. Continuously refine prioritization based on investigator feedback and case development. This capability fundamentally changes how investigations progress. Rather than methodically working through all evidence sequentially, teams can immediately focus on the most promising artifacts, often reducing critical time to insight from weeks to hours. This acceleration proves particularly valuable in cases with urgent security implications or time-sensitive legal requirements. Workflow optimization and resource allocation. Digital forensic laboratories face growing backlogs as evidence volumes increase faster than staffing. AI helps address this challenge by optimizing investigative workflows and allocating technical and human resources more effectively. Advanced workflow systems automatically route evidence to appropriate specialized tools based on content and case requirements. Identify when specific expert skills are needed for particular evidence types. Parallelize analysis processes to maximize throughput without sacrificing quality. Predict resource requirements for specific case types based on historical patterns. Recommend optimal processing approaches based on case specifics and available resources. These optimizations enable forensic teams to handle substantially larger caseloads without proportional increases in staffing. By ensuring that specialized human expertise is applied only where truly needed, organizations can simultaneously improve both throughput and quality. Reduction in false positives. Traditional forensic tools often generate excessive false positives that consume valuable investigator time. AI significantly reduces this burden through more contextual analysis and continuous learning from feedback. Context-aware detection systems. Incorporate environmental factors when evaluating potential indicators of compromise. Learn from investigator determinations to reduce similar false positives in future analyses. Consider broader patterns rather than isolated indicators when flagging suspicious activity. Apply case-specific relevance criteria to filter out technically suspicious but contextually normal findings. Provide confidence scores that help investigators prioritize findings requiring review. This reduction in false positives represents one of the most significant efficiency improvements AI brings to digital forensics. By focusing investigator attention on genuinely suspicious artifacts rather than benign anomalies, these systems dramatically reduce wasted effort and accelerate time to resolution. Continuous monitoring and early detection. AI enables a shift from purely reactive forensics toward more proactive approaches through continuous monitoring systems that can detect potential incidents earlier and preserve more comprehensive evidence. Proactive forensic capabilities include ongoing behavioral analysis that identifies subtle indicators of compromise in real time, automated preservation of volatile evidence when suspicious activities are detected, continuous baseline updates that adapt to evolving normal conditions, early warning systems that flag potential security issues before full-scale incidents develop, preemptive collection of relevant logs and artifacts based on early risk indicators. This evolution toward continuous forensic monitoring enables earlier incident detection, more complete evidence preservation, and often less severe impacts from security events. Rather than beginning investigations after significant damage has occurred, organizations can identify and respond to potential incidents in their earliest stages. Challenges and ethical considerations. The integration of AI into digital forensics brings tremendous capabilities, but also introduces significant challenges and ethical considerations that must be thoughtfully addressed to ensure these powerful tools are used responsibly. Explainability and court admissibility. For forensic findings to be useful in legal proceedings, the methods used must be explainable, reliable, and generally accepted by the scientific community. Many advanced AI techniques, particularly deep learning approaches, present challenges in this regard due to their black box nature. Addressing explainability requires developing interpretable AI models alongside more opaque but powerful approaches, creating visualization tools that make AI decision processes more transparent, establishing validation frameworks for forensic AI that satisfy legal requirements, documenting AI limitations and confidence levels in findings, building legal precedent through careful introduction of AI-derived evidence in appropriate cases. As courts increasingly encounter evidence derived from AI analysis, the forensic community must work closely with legal experts to establish standards for admissibility that balance technological capabilities with judicial requirements for transparency and reliability. Bias and fairness concerns. AI systems inherit biases present in their training data or design, potentially leading to unfair or discriminatory outcomes in forensic applications. Addressing these concerns is essential both for ethical practice and to maintain the credibility of AI-assisted investigations. Mitigating bias requires diverse, representative training datasets that avoid perpetuating historical biases, regular auditing of AI systems for discriminatory patterns or outcomes, multiple validation approaches using varied test datasets and scenarios, human oversight of AI findings with attention to potential bias indicators, transparent documentation of known limitations and potential bias sources. Organizations implementing AI in forensic contexts have an ethical obligation to ensure these systems do not disproportionately target or impact specific communities. This requires ongoing vigilance and willingness to modify systems when bias is detected, privacy and civil liberties implications. The powerful analytical capabilities of AI raise significant privacy concerns, particularly when these tools can extract insights and connections from data that individuals reasonably believe is private or anonymized. Responsible implementations must include clear policies governing appropriate use cases and limitations for AI analytics, legal review of AI applications to ensure compliance with relevant privacy laws, data minimization approaches that limit analysis to relevant information, transparency with stakeholders about AI capabilities deployed in investigations, strong access controls that prevent unauthorized use of powerful analytical tools, the potential for function creep, where tools developed for legitimate forensic purposes gradually expand into broader surveillance applications, represents a particular concern that requires ongoing ethical oversight and governance, tool validation, and standards. For AI forensic tools to be trusted, they must undergo rigorous validation and adhere to emerging standards. The rapidly evolving nature of AI technology makes this validation particularly challenging compared to traditional forensic tools. Effective validation approaches include testing against diverse, realistic datasets with known ground truth, regular revalidation as algorithms or models are updated, peer review of methodologies and performance claims, transparency about error rates and confidence levels, conformance to emerging standards from organizations like NIST and ISO. The digital forensics community must develop consensus standards for evaluating AI-enhanced tools, balancing the need for innovation with the requirement for reliability in high-stakes investigative contexts. Adversarial machine learning and countermeasures. As AI becomes more prevalent in digital forensics, sophisticated adversaries will inevitably develop countermeasures designed to evade or mislead these systems. This emerging cat-and-mouse game requires ongoing research into adversarial machine learning techniques. Developing resilient systems requires testing forensic AI against intentionally adversarial inputs, implementing ensemble approaches that combine multiple detection techniques, regular updates to address newly discovered evasion techniques, research into detection of anti-forensic AI applications, transparent documentation of known vulnerabilities to AI evasion. The forensic community must anticipate that threat actors will specifically target weaknesses in AI systems and develop countermeasures that maintain effectiveness even against adversarially aware opponents. Applications beyond crime. While digital forensics originated primarily in law enforcement and criminal investigations, AI-enhanced forensic techniques are finding valuable applications across numerous domains beyond traditional criminal cases. Corporate investigations and governance. Organizations increasingly employ digital forensic techniques to investigate internal incidents, from intellectual property theft to policy violations. AI significantly enhances these capabilities, while potentially reducing their intrusiveness. Corporate applications include insider threat detection through behavioral analysis that identifies suspicious patterns without constant surveillance, automated compliance monitoring that flags potential regulatory violations for review, intellectual property protection through identification of unauthorized data movements, investigation of harassment or misconduct allegations with enhanced privacy protections, due diligence investigations during mergers and acquisitions to identify undisclosed risks. These capabilities help organizations maintain compliance, protect assets, and address misconduct while potentially reducing the breadth of data access required compared to traditional investigations. Cybersecurity enhancement. Digital forensics and cybersecurity have traditionally operated as related but separate disciplines. AI is bridging this gap, enabling forensic techniques to enhance proactive security through deeper understanding of attack patterns and vulnerabilities. Security applications include threat hunting informed by forensic analysis of previous incidents, development of more accurate detection rules based on comprehensive attack reconstructions, vulnerability assessments that incorporate insights from past exploitation patterns, security architecture improvements driven by forensic understanding of attack paths, more effective security training based on realistic scenarios derived from actual incidents. This convergence of forensics and security creates a powerful feedback loop where each incident improves future protective capabilities, transforming reactive investigations into sources of proactive security enhancement. Accident investigation and safety engineering. Beyond security incidents, AI-enhanced forensics provides valuable capabilities for investigating accidents, system failures, and safety incidents involving digital systems. Safety applications include analysis of system logs leading up to industrial control system failures, investigation of autonomous vehicle accidents to determine causation, medical device failure analysis through forensic examination of embedded systems, aviation incident investigation incorporating digital evidence from flight systems, critical infrastructure reliability analysis based on forensic examination of past outages. As digital components become integral to safety-critical systems, Forensic capabilities for investigating digital aspects of accidents become essential for preventing future incidents and improving overall system safety. Disaster recovery and business continuity. Digital forensic techniques, enhanced by AI, provide powerful capabilities for recovering from disasters affecting information systems and reconstructing critical data following system failures. Recovery applications include reconstruction of transaction records following system corruption, recovery of critical business data from damaged storage systems, restoration of operational timelines to understand disaster progression, identification of salvageable components in compromised systems, evidence-based improvement of resilience measures based on failure analysis. These capabilities help organizations maintain business continuity in the face of both natural disasters and cyber incidents, potentially reducing both downtime and data loss through more sophisticated recovery techniques. Historical and cultural preservation. Digital forensic techniques are increasingly applied to the preservation and analysis of historical and cultural artifacts, particularly as these exist in vulnerable digital formats. Preservation applications include recovery of data from obsolete storage formats and degraded media, authentication of digital historical artifacts to verify provenance, reconstruction of damaged or partially lost digital cultural works, analysis of historical systems and software to understand their operation, preservation of digital creative works in formats accessible to future generations. These applications extend the cultural value of digital forensics beyond its traditional investigative role, helping preserve our digital heritage for future study and appreciation. The integration of artificial intelligence into digital forensics represents not merely an incremental improvement, but a fundamental transformation in how we understand, analyze, and interpret digital evidence. This technological evolution expands the boundaries of what's possible, enabling more comprehensive investigations, accelerating time to insight, and extracting meaningful patterns from data volumes that would overwhelm traditional approaches. As these powerful capabilities develop, the forensic community faces the dual challenge of harnessing AI's potential while ensuring its responsible implementation. This requires thoughtful attention to explainability, bias mitigation, privacy protection, and ethical governance. By addressing these considerations proactively, practitioners can ensure that AI serves as a force for justice and truth-finding rather than a source of new biases or privacy concerns. The future of digital forensics lies not in choosing between human expertise and artificial intelligence, but in their powerful combination. Human investigators with contextual understanding, ethical judgment, and legal knowledge, augmented by AI systems that expand analytical reach and unveil patterns hidden within our increasingly complex digital environments. This partnership promises investigations that are simultaneously more thorough, more efficient, and more insightful, uncovering digital truths that might otherwise remain hidden in the overwhelming volume and complexity of modern digital evidence. A call to action. The digital forensics landscape is in a state of perpetual evolution, mirroring the rapid advancements in technology itself. As data volumes explode and attack vectors become increasingly sophisticated, traditional forensic methods are being stretched to their limits. It is within this dynamic environment that artificial intelligence, AI, emerges not as a replacement, but as an indispensable ally for digital forensics professionals. This call to action is not merely an encouragement, but a strategic imperative to embrace the algorithmic lens, to leverage the power of AI to navigate the complexities of modern digital investigations. Consider the sheer volume of data generated daily, from cloud storage to IoT devices, mobile applications to social media platforms. Manual analysis of this data is not only time-consuming, but often impossible. Traditional forensics tools, while essential, struggle to keep pace with the velocity and variety of digital information. Moreover, threat actors are continuously developing novel techniques to obfuscate their activities, leaving behind subtle, often undetectable traces. This necessitates a paradigm shift, a move toward intelligent automation and pattern recognition, Capabilities uniquely offered by AI. AI, particularly machine learning (ML), provides a means to automate repetitive tasks, identify anomalies, and uncover hidden patterns within vast datasets. By employing algorithms capable of learning from historical data, we can build predictive models that anticipate potential attack vectors, highlight suspicious activities, and significantly reduce investigation times. Embracing AI requires a commitment to continuous learning and adaptation. Professionals must invest in training and education to understand the underlying principles of AI and ML and how these technologies can be applied to digital forensics. Collaboration with AI experts and researchers is also crucial to develop tailored solutions that address specific forensic challenges. Invest in education, experiment, and innovate. Foster collaboration, advocate for standards, and share knowledge. The integration of AI into digital forensics is not just a trend. It is a fundamental shift in how we approach investigations. By embracing the algorithmic lens, we can empower ourselves to navigate the complexities of the digital age, ensuring that justice prevails in an increasingly interconnected world. Let us not shy away from the challenges, but rather embrace the opportunities that AI presents, transforming digital forensics from a reactive discipline to a proactive and predictive force.
Thank you.